Welcome to NFL Daily, where we got to admit we're suckers for Cowboys hype every once in a while. This is usually the time of year that it happens. I'm Gregg Rosenthal. I am here at Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California, starting off the show solo. You know, Patrick Claybon's doing Fantasy Live, Jordan's over in Minnesota doing joint practices, and we appreciate you watching this YouTube special. I'm going to have two Cowboys coming on the show in just a little bit, Dante Fowler and DeMarvion Overshown, and great conversations with both of them. So look forward to that. But just a couple takeaways about being here. It's just different. The Cowboys are just different. When I say I'm a sucker for the Cowboys, you know, part of it is the setup here. Like most of these training camps we go to, it's minimal. Here it's like all these foods, all this concessions, like everything is just bigger. And there's more media here on the 26th day, I believe it was, of the Cowboys being in California. I mean, that's insane. Over 3 weeks they have been here, and yet there is more media here at a training camp practice in the middle of the week than at post-game regular season games for a lot of NFL cities. So it's just different. And then you see Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones up, you know, high above the practice field. And it just reminds me of Bear Bryant back in the day. Maybe I'm just like aging myself that I even know who Bear Bryant is, but like this is old school football. I know Chris Babona doesn't know anything about this. You got Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, and they've built a tower at Cowboys training camp, and they're just watching everything below them. They are the kings, and that is their dominion. And that's how football practices used to be. It used to be Bear Bryant at Alabama with a big megaphone yelling at all of his players from up above in the tower. And that's like, I don't know if that's the best way to connect with your players, and you don't need to connect like that when you're an owner, but Jerry Jones was playing in the SEC for Arkansas pretty early in Bear Bryant's run at Alabama. So he's like going up against his team. It is a connection to that like old school football, and it's just different. It's truly a family organization in a way that the NFL used to be all around the league, but is not as much anymore. Just no one's doing it like they're doing it, for good and bad. So takeaways from the field today. It was just good to see Dak Prescott throwing darts all over the field, just making the right decisions. It looked a little too easy for him at times. I like this Cowboys edge rush group. A little more on that in a minute, but for the most part, he was protected very well. He finds his open receivers. He's just the smartest dude on the field, and he was very sharp in general. What are you going to do with this secondary? That's the problem that I worry the most about with the Cowboys, but you have CD Lamb and George Pickens lining up against Kyer Elam, and Deron Bland is back out there, and that's a big thing. I think the average fan probably doesn't realize Deron Bland, he's back, he's healthy. You got a couple of really talented guys that were on the sideline here today, Trevon Diggs and Savon Ravel, who could be back at some point this season and will help him out. But in the meantime, there's just mismatches. We were looking on our ace cameraman and photographer and producer, Sam here. You know, he's taking photos of practice, and CD Lamb dusted some guy so badly. And I know that Donovan Wilson, the safety on the play, like tried to make up for it, and Dak hits him way down the field. Wilson can't get there in time, but the cornerback gets dusted so badly, he's not in any of the camera shots because CD Lamb has beat him by 5 yards on a double move. And it just got me kind of thinking about like how good this passing game could be, and I think will be, and how good they're going to need to be, because I think the secondary for this Cowboys team is just not great. But there are resources coming later, and if they can get Ravel and Diggs healthy, I think that's a good thing. I love Kevontae Turpin's wiggle. I mean, he's a guy that's going to shine in a setting like this, and I think he's going to be a difference maker this year. They also have a rookie, Trayshawn Holden, who's looked pretty good at training camp, made a couple plays today, has a good chance to make this team. And they have a 7th-round running back in Phil Maffa that popped like what would have been a 50-yard touchdown. And when you're thinking about like one cut and go, I mean, I think he's got more juice than the two veterans, Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. So I was talking to some of the Cowboys reporters here, and I think there's a real thought of the Cowboys maybe choose between Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, and they only wind up keeping one of the veterans, maybe put one of those veterans on the practice squad because they want to keep Phil Maffa and Jaden Blue, their two rookie running backs who are both making some plays. Maffa just looks like he's a guy that you have to keep in the rotation, keep on the team. Brian Schottenheimer was asked during his press conference, like, what's the thing you're most concerned about? And he just said it was the decisions that's coming, that he doesn't really know, he admitted, where they're going at a few different position battles. And that's true for a lot of teams deeper on the depth chart, but I think it's kind of true for the Cowboys higher up. Like, they need to figure out their running back rotation. I don't think they really know it. They got to figure out their cornerback rotation from 3 onwards, and that's pretty high up. They're still trying to figure those things out. But watching him, and he talked about his cancer diagnosis that at least I had no clue about, and I don't think anyone had ever asked him about it, that he had undergone surgery for thyroid cancer a long time ago, and he had a very heartfelt story about it, and it was related to Jerry Jones, revealing that he had his own cancer battle with melanoma and has recovered. And it got me thinking about something I've been talking about this offseason about Brian Schottenheimer, how I think he could be a better head coach than he was a coordinator. There's just something very real and grounded, and he's been through a lot in the NFL, and I think he knows people, and I think players respect coaches that are real. I'm not saying like the last couple Cowboys coaches weren't, but sometimes it kind of felt like the McCarthy and Jason Garrett, they're almost like play acting a role of what a head coach is going to be. And I think Brian Schottenheimer has a certain sort of emotional intelligence that comes through. And I think the staff that he built here is pretty good. And those are some of the reasons why I think he could be a little better than people expect. Then again, I just went through like all these different takes from being at one day of practice. And one of my takes here is the more training camp practices you go to, like, you just realize people force training camp takes. I mean, it's just practice out here, man. I mean, I've talked to different reporters who I think agree. Like, the longer you cover training camp, the more that they feel like you can get a feel of what players are playing better than they did previously, or who's having a good camp. But who's having a good camp is not what happens on Sunday. It's a totally different ball game, and it's very tough to translate whether they're having a great training camp to whether it's going to be great on Sundays. And the difference is, I think fans would see if they came out to these training camps between, oh, he's going up today or he's going down. It's very small, and sometimes you don't know the reasons why a player would struggle on a certain day, what they're working on. And I do think we probably make a little too much out of who's playing well, who's not playing well in camp. The main thing to me is who's healthy and what are the rotations? Like, who's the starter, who's the second team? You really can learn a lot about that. And that leads me to my last point. Man, this edge rush group without Micah Parsons, and we're going to talk to one of the members of it, Dante Fowler, in just a second, is so deep and so versatile, and to me should be the envy of the entire rest of the league, except for maybe the Giants in this division. Just to quickly go through it, and Dante did a great job going through it, so you'll hear that in a second too, though. Sam Williams is coming off a torn ACL and looks really good in this training camp, looks 100% healthy. He is getting the most first-team reps opposite Dante Fowler, who's coming off a really good season for Washington. Fowler is not, an all-pro player at this point of his career, but he's turned into that Leonard Floyd type of pass rusher for hire, is going to give you plus positive snaps. So that's your two starters-ish, but you're rotating in your first-round pick or early second-round pick, Donovan Ezeraku, and then Marshawn Nealon, who's looked like a first-rounder when he's played, is a good run stopper and is absolutely better than a lot of starting edges out there. And when Micah Parsons comes in, Nealon will technically be the fifth guy. So I think the Cowboys have a better fifth guy than a lot of teams do second guy at maybe the most valuable position in the sport other than quarterback and maybe tackle. And I think the way that they can use them and just play smart and play fast with Matt Eberflus gives this team a high ceiling. I'm intrigued. And I'm looking forward to you guys hearing these interviews. Here is Dante Fowler, and then right after that, the linebacker DeMarvion Overshown. All right, we are here with the veteran linebacker, edge rusher of the Dallas Cowboys, Dante Fowler, coming off a long practice on the practice field and a long stay out here in California. You guys are like residents now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I used to live out here back in 2017, 19, but I'm ready to go home, man. I was excited to be here first, but now it's like it's time to go home for sure.
That's a humble way of saying you went to the Super Bowl with
Facts.
the Rams.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was doing some research. I do that sometimes. Are you aware that you had the most sacks of anyone, or at least tied for the most of anyone in the 2017 playoffs with the Jaguars? You had a couple, and the most tackles for loss of anyone in the league in the 2018 playoffs.
No, I didn't know that, but I mean, I know I was getting off though for sure. I know I was like doing my thing, but that's a pretty cool stat for sure.
And a follow up, I hate to ask you, does that mean that you hate Tom Brady more than any man in the world? Because that's one time in the AFC with the Jags, and then one time in the NFC with the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool just to get out to Tom. That's my favorite quarterback of all time. So growing up watching him and then actually being in the game when we played him in the AFC Championship, I was turned on another level.
Wow. I wasn't planning to go here, but it does go to the Patriots a lot with me. But maybe talk about that game a little bit, because I feel like that's a great forgotten game, that not forgotten in Jacksonville or by my coworker Maurice Jones-Drew, who likes to bring up all the time that he was down and they were robbed.
Man, that was a pretty cool game. We were so confident going into that game. Like, we knew we were going to win. It was crazy because we had a joint practice with them. And that was the year we played them in the AFC Championship the next year. So it was just really cool. We were super prepared, and we were playing our tails off. And I think we got robbed, to be honest with you, just on that play with Miles. You know, stripping the ball and stuff like that. But, you know, just that second half was really, really, really weird. But, you know, in Tom Brady fashion, he got it done. But, man, that was a gut punch for sure.
Yeah, it is crazy how football history and how people think of, like, legacies and all this stuff can change on something fluky. Even as someone who's watching that Patriots closely, whether Miles Jack was down or not, for a whole, like, legacy and season to change, that's heartbreaking. You've found a way, though, to live with the ups and downs as a pro. You were drafted in 2015. So are you proud of your longevity, and what's been the key?
Yeah, I'm super proud. You know, just because it was my dream to play football, like since I was in the 4th or 5th grade. I set my mind on being a professional football player and wanted to play for a long time. So just be able to play 10 years in this league, you know, I'm super blessed and I'm proud of myself for that. And just to be able to have a career in the NFL, you know, especially where I come from, and, you know, the hard work that my mom and my dad put into me getting to the NFL and stuff like that, it means a lot for me to be able to, for them to still be able to come to my games and still, you know, see me as a professional football player.
And now on your second tour of duty with the Cowboys, and I kind of alluded to it, they've been out here for about 3 weeks now, and they're just wrapping up their time now. What's different playing for the Cowboys than playing for teams at your other spots?
Mm-hmm. You know, just the notoriety and you know, the primetime games and stuff like that comes with the starting helmet. You know, playing in Jerry's World in the AT&T Stadium for a home game and stuff like that. That's super cool.
What are you gonna watch that Netflix show about Jerry, about the Cowboys? It's mostly about the '90s, but it's a lot about Jerry. You gonna watch that?
Probably not, but you know,
I heard it's good.
Just to keep up on my history, I might will. I'm pretty sure Danny will have it on, and I might look at it. But I mean, I'm not really a big TV guy no more.
Okay, I'm not as much, but I gotta say that Cowboys cheerleader show is good. It's actually really interesting. I'm not being weird about it. I'm just like, it's interesting what they go through.
I remember, all
good.
that. I just remember my mom used to watch that stuff back in the days when I was like in middle school and high school, when they used to have it like on Lifetime or so. It used to be on one TV show when they used to, you know, show the Cowgirls and stuff. So it's pretty cool seeing them around nowadays.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I forget what network that is, but it was like the country music
like
network.
TLC or
CMT or something.
Yeah, CMT.
All right, let's talk 2025 Cowboys, because I had a theory going into this training camp that people get mad around the country. Fans get mad. Oh, the Cowboys get too much attention. You know, the Cowboys are always like the top story on ESPN, even though like maybe they're not worth it or not. And my theory was, actually this year the football team is really fascinating, because to me the ceiling for this team is really high, maybe better than people realize. And part of that, the reason I believe that, is because of your edge rush group. Like, that is about as deep an edge rush group, assuming Micah gets back on the field at some point. But even without him, I'm watching today, and you have 4 really good players, and that some other players behind him. Like, what has that been like? Tell me about like what that room has been like. Who's been impressing?
Man, it's been so impressive just to see, those guys, just to see Sam Williams come back from his injury and see how hungry he is and the way he's playing. He looks really good. It just makes you curious to see of what he would have did last year if he never got hurt, but he looks really good. Donovan, for him to be a rookie, he looks really good, just as what people said he was. He looks like a guy that got 16 sacks last year. He's a dominant pass rusher, not afraid to get his nose dirty in the run game. James Houston, who I was a fan of when he was at the Lions, when he made that 8-sack run in 7 games, he went to UF. So I'm a huge fan of him as well. And just the list goes on. Marshawn Nealon, I thought the way that he played as a rookie, he held up really well. I think he did a pretty good job in the run game. He's a stout run player that's learning how to pass rush. I think he's going to be a really good defensive end in the future. Peyton Turner, he's like a hybrid defensive end, but, he's been, playing at a pretty good level, at a high level when he was in New Orleans, somebody that I used to watch. And, the list goes on. Tyrus Wheat, that played a few games last year, just to see how far he's came as a pass rusher. When he first came in, they didn't know if he was a linebacker or a pass rusher. And now just to see, like, his body change and see the way he worked. And, our coach, A-Dub, Aaron Whitecotton, he was my assistant defensive coach when we had that Saxonville team back in 2017 with Jacksonville. So, he was doing his thing as being one of the top defensive line coaches in the league, especially with the Jets and stuff like that. So just that combination of us and that formula with him is definitely going to be off the charts. And, of course, when you add Michael Parsons, it's just going to take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, you staying connected with him. I saw about on the field and everything today. How's that been?
Micah?
Yeah,
that's my boy, man. Last year that was my favorite player to watch in the league. That's my boy. I love everything about him. I love the way he plays the game. I love the way he goes about the game. I love the way he pass rushes. So when he's out there, I definitely feed off of him, and it kind of turns into a competition of meeting each other at the quarterback. So I love that because he always makes me play at a high level.
All right, we got one of your teammates, DeMarvion Overshown, coming on quickly. So I will let you go with this. You've now been on both sides of the rivalry, Washington and Dallas. Like, what's the most annoying fan base or stadium to go into as an NFC West guy? Because you've done a couple different tours of duty.
NFC West?
NFC East, my bad.
Oh, NFC East? Philly, hands down. Don't let it be a primetime game and a big game leading up into it. It's crazy. I remember I was scared to order food from Uber Eats. The day before the game, I had to change my name and stuff. So, man, don't Philly. I got a lot of Philly friends. Like, a lot of my best friends are, like, Philly fans. So, when they beat me, win, lose, or draw, like, they let me have it. They're not afraid to shove it in my face. Like, they're not afraid to do none of that. So, Philly for sure.
They're different. Yeah, I guess you couldn't possibly answer Dallas when you were on the other side. Were they nice to you or no?
It was pretty cool. It was weird because we played them the last game of the season, and the season didn't go too well. So, we kind of had more Commander fans in there, but it was all good. It's just cool to be back. I'm blessed to be back for sure.
Appreciate you. Dante Fowler.
Thank you, man.
All right, we are here with the Cowboys linebacker DeMarvion Overshown out in California, getting his way back to the field. I got to ask to start, how's the rehab, the recovery going?
It's been good. To be honest, it couldn't be any better. If it was even any better, I'd probably be playing right now. So to say I'm almost 8 months out and doing the things I'm doing as far as like the linebacker drills, the running full speed and cutting and stuff. I know a lot of people that's been through something like that. They know once you get to that stage point, it's like, okay, now you're getting more so football already. So the fact that I'm at that point, I can remember the days right after surgery where I couldn't even walk by myself. I had 2 braces on. So, I can almost see the light at the tunnel. So I know I'm close. And like I said, the rehab couldn't be any better.
I was surprised to see you on our list today because I'm like, oh, he must be feeling better because usually they don't make you available. So that's a great sign that you're feeling good. And man, you just popped off the film last year, and you've been through a recovery like this before. Like, what was the key to when you got back playing so loose and aggressive and free last year?
It's all about the mental part of it. I think once you get past that mental barrier of, I got injured last year, but I done went through the process of making sure my knee was ready to go. I done the hard training, had the best doctors and trainers in the world working on me. So, all you got to do now is trust yourself. And, I'm a believer in the man, and I know my plan. So I knew that wasn't it for me. I knew how hard I trained, how hard I rehab, and, how much I was preyed upon. So once you take that upon the field with you, everything else is out the door. Now, the passion that I love playing and the reason I play this game, now that's an excitement. I've been holding that in for a year, so all the negative is out the door.
Who would you compare yourself to? 'Cause you're a fascinating player to watch. 'Cause you do a little bit of everything. So for me, watching as like an analyst, I try to think like, who are you like? Is there someone that you pattern yourself after, or that you think kind of puts together some of the similar skill sets?
I would say I used to say a lot, Darius Leonard. I used to say him a lot, and then, but I came in as a safety out of high school to college, so I always wanted to be the Cam Chancellor. But before my games, I watched Ray Lewis highlights because I knew if I was ever a linebacker at any point, I wanted to be a Ray Lewis type, head hunting type linebacker. So really, those guys is who I watched coming into the league and all throughout college.
What's it been like when you were on the field, obviously last year and any time previous, lining up and trying to figure out what Dak Prescott is doing, and has as a linebacker, like kind of being on the other side of him, a veteran in the league for so long, and someone I think of as one of the most mentally sharp quarterbacks like in the entire NFL. What has that done for you as a player?
It's definitely, matured me way faster than if I would have went somebody that's, not blessed with a quarterback like that. He's, like you said, he's a veteran in this game. He's one of the sharpest minded quarterbacks in the league. So you go through practices and you get like some of his tendencies, and you would get like why he checked this when he see this and he sees certain defenses. So I've definitely, not only is he like, practicing against us, but the things that he's audibling and he's doing, I'm able to learn from to see what other quarterbacks are saying in the league. And, once you can get a good feel on Dak Prescott, I feel like, you're with that top 10% of the quarterbacks where you can play against any of the quarterbacks in the league and be good.
So I saw Matt Eberflus just walk by. Great hair and beard, by the way. Eberflus.
Hey, he got it going on. Like, I don't even know his age, but I know it's like it's young, and like he keep his stuff well maintained, and he got it going on.
I'm with you.
He got it going on.
When he was on Hard Knocks, it was this whole thing. It was like the Eberflus Renaissance, and I had some people like, oh, Matt Eberflus looks good. I am curious though what his defense is gonna look like here, and so you've been obviously in a few defenses now with Dallas. A few years ago, Dan Quinn's here, and then last year Zimmer. What do you think defines this Eberflus defense?
I think it's the thing that he says the most, and it's style over scheme, and that's the run and hidden nature of his defenses. I feel like you turn on the tape all the time, you see 7+ ball defenders around each ball carried, no matter where they at on the field, and takeaways, and forcing quarterbacks to play uncomfortably all year and all game, and the toy with their mind, showing different coverages and dropping into another one. So the way that he just looks at the gameplay, it's our defense is an attack defense, and so that's how you got to coach it. And I feel like the greatness of our defense can be measured just by how hard we practice and how hard we play. It won't be off of mental errors or missed assignments. It's gonna be more so on did you really give your all this play? Like, are you really, trying to be one of the closest ones at the end of the play when the whistle is blown? Because at the end of the day, that just shows, your love for your brother, and that's how he coached. So that's what I'm really most excited about, because I know, once you get 11 guys playing with their heads on fire, like the scheme is gonna work regardless. Like, you got guys out there that's really wanting to play football. Like, the scheme is gonna work.
I just thought, did he have Shaq Leonard, Darius Leonard back in the day with Indianapolis?
He had Shaq, and so we get to see some of his film. Him and Coach Gons show me some of his clips all the time, and that's a guy, like I said, that I look looked at coming into the league, being one of those long, more lankier linebackers, sideline to sideline making plays. So definitely knowing that they coached him, coached the great Sean Lee. He don't call me Sean, but now it's Sean. So I think he found him another a Sean Lee protege, and I'm totally fine with that. I watched his film all the time, and he was a man amongst boys at times, and he just felt like he knew before everybody else knew in the stadium, and that's really what I'm trying to translate my game to, and I know Flus is going to help me get to that point.
That's a good comp for you, actually, now that I think about it, just because, man, Sean Lee and you, I think, both play with a certain sort of energy that just pops off film. I'll leave you with this. Is there like a running back or tight end that you've gone against, whether in a game or in practice, that like impresses you the most, that gives you the most amount of trouble, or just does something that lets you know, like, okay, this is a great
anybody, teammate or that I played against, anybody
you want.
I probably get this question and I probably get the same answer every time, but I'm gonna give my answer, and the answer is Bijan Robinson. I don't think I've ever seen a better football player, a better anything. Whatever he does, I feel like he's the best at. I mean, he sees stuff before it even happens. The contact balance is off the radar. You don't notice how fast he is until you get behind him. But when you watch him film, it's like everything he do is just so smooth, but it's fast. So that's one guy I would say, you turn on his tape, he's gonna look like the best player on the field all the time.
That checks out. Appreciate having you on. Good luck with the rest of your recovery, and we look forward to seeing you on the field later this year.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, that was a great day at Cowboys camp. Thanks again to DeMarvion and Dante Fowler. And yeah, the Cowboys get a little extra coverage. Cry about it. It's not because they're the Cowboys. It's because they come to California. So get your broke team to come out here for 3 weeks. NFL Daily will cover them too. See you next time.